So we got our weekly crowdfunding rundown. And I was going to say Kickstarter. And, personally, as a side note, I actually like using Kickstarter as a verb now. But I know, especially with GameFound, people are going to want to be more specific. So we'll go with crowdfunding in general right now. So let's talk about the week's notables, the news, as well as the upcoming campaigns that we already know. So first up, news and notables in terms of finishing. ISS Vanguard finished today. They raised just under $5 million with just under 30,000 backers. So all in all, a great success. Sort of in the middle of their other campaigns, slightly less than I think than Tainted Grail and Nemesis, the Nemesi, but definitely more than the Great Wall, and I think even more than Etherfield. So comparatively with the hype that was there for ISS Vanguard, I feel like this has been the most hyped game ever for them, maybe apart from Nemesis 2. And so 5 million is great, but I also feel like it's a little less than I expected. So it's a little let down in that way. But at the same time, this is not a game for everybody. I think that's very clear as we had more information about this game and how it actually plays from the get-go, including the dice, the planets, and the playthroughs. So I think part of that is reflected, and part of that's a good thing for our industry. I don't think less money in that sense is a bad thing. I think it's a good thing because it means that people are not buying things that they do not want nor are going to like in the first place. At the very end of the campaign, they sort of changed the pledge levels up, and this always happens in these crowdfunding campaigns lately, is they had their core box throughout the whole thing. They had the ISS Vanguard's Commander's Pledge, which included the miniatures. Then they added an all-in gameplay as well, which was new. And so you got all of the other gameplay add-ons, including the miniature stretch goals, the miniatures expansion, the Deadly Frontier campaign, and then the personal files expansion, which expands the number of characters that you can play throughout the game and also adds a higher level rank up if you want further advancement in the actual character development. So all in all, we'll see. It says August 2021. I can't believe that it's going to be August 2021. That would be amazing. But I would expect it sometime maybe end of quarter 1 or even quarter 2 in 2022 for the 2-wave shipping. For the 1-wave shipping, I think you're talking end of 22 potentially. Just by the nature of how these things go. Anything earlier is a blessing. Again, not saying it is a criticism, just a realistic estimate from previous track records. Next up, we have the other big hot announcement that went along with the past week, and that is Slay the Spire, the acclaimed mobile and platform game where you are deck building, dungeon crawling, and creating cards in your deck while you do, sort of a la Mystic Vale on the tabletop scene already. It is going to be a Kickstarter launching sometime in the spring of 2021. Not much more details are known. You can sign up to be notified. I don't believe there's a campaign page yet available, but it's going to be interesting to see if they can port what made this game a success on other platforms to the tabletop. And this is from Contention Games. The other big announcement that just came out today is with the recent success of Kingdom Rush Rift in Time, the other big port from mobile and platform games that has recently come out and reached backers' hands within the last month. They have announced that they are going to be, at least as far as we know, the second big campaign on GameFound. And today, with an update to backers from the previous game, they released a link to the preview page that is Kingdom Rush Elemental Uprising, and it even announces the date of being February 9th, 2021. Again, you can follow this page just like you can do it on Kickstarters to get notification, and it has a little bit of a preview. Now, there's not that much up right now, though, so there's not much to comment on. The interesting thing is that it says this is a standalone expansion, and there is going to be, as you can see, many different characters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different characters already, and they're saying that they're going to be different than the ones that are out there. And I think that's going to be the biggest question mark of how do you make the characters that much different when you have such a limited directionality that comes with the game in the first place when you're placing on the bad guy tiles that move past your towers. Are we going to see the development of powers and freezes and special abilities like that in a different way? I think it'll be interesting to see what spin they can make and whether or not it's just going to make it that much better or if it's going to potentially overcomplicate things like sometimes expansions can do. Again, not much information, but we'll see just over a month from now what this entails. They are definitely striking while the iron is hot because the reviews on this game, myself included, have been very positive so far. They have also said already that there is going to be an all-in for people that missed the previous, including the Kickstarter exclusives there. So if you're interested and you're not wanting to pick it up on the secondary market and you can wait a little bit, you may be much better off price-wise to get it through this campaign. Last big announcement, we've known for a little while about the animation collection from CMON, the combination of Looney Tunes, Teen Titans Go, and Scooby-Doo. And Quackalope has put out several videos now displaying each of the three of them over Tabletop Simulator. So if you head over to his channel, you can see what the differences are, but they are all different. They are also, at least as far as I know, Looney Tunes is coming with pre-painted miniatures. I have not heard that the other two are or are not yet definitively. Teen Titans Go is more of a head-to-head battler as you're trying to save the city first, completing objectives, but also potentially getting in the way with a little bit of take that against your opponents. Looney Tunes is full-on chaos PvP, and Scooby-Doo, as you would expect based on the IP, is cooperative. You are solving a mystery by building traps, trying to trap a monster before the monster can put down all of its tokens to defeat you. This Kickstarter is launching on January 13th at 3 p.m. So we'll see what this does and how many stretch goals I think is really going to be the question. And are they all stretch goals? Are they prefabricated stretch goals? Or are they very limited like in the comic book Kickstarter campaign previously? Time will tell. I know that they want to put this big at retail, so I would imagine they may actually be on the less side, and we'll see how that affects their overall funding. So let's shift gears and let's talk about currently funding campaigns. Now, again, this was a relatively slow week. Honestly, it's been a relatively slow month and a half since about the beginning of December, end of November, since really anything major besides ISS Vanguard has gone on. And that is really going to start to pick up, and I'll talk about that in the next section of the video about the upcoming announcements that you need to know about. The currently funding games on Kickstarter are relatively slim pickings right now. There were 3 games that launched this week, 2 of which have already funded, 1 of which is still in the process of trying to fund. The first one is by far and away the big titan that was announced and that was sort of anticipated at the beginning of January is Darwin's Journey, the worker placement where you are retracing Darwin's steps, trying to educate your workers so that they develop new skills. Now, I'll put a full video breakdown of this later, but it's raised almost $500,000. And so for a Euro game, a worker placement style game, that is pretty incredible, especially since it's only been out less than 3 days at the time of me filming this currently. So you can tell people are really excited. There's a lot of gameplay. This was hyped by several online media content creators in our industry as being a very, very, very good game. Now, I'm just going to touch on it briefly. Deluxification is rampant in this game. So if you like that sort of thing, you're going to be rewarded. If you don't, you should turn your eyes away and skip forward in the video. Long story short is you have a 45 euro pledge, $56. It gets you the stretch goals. It gets you access to Thunder Griff's previous stock of games. And it gets you, the base game plus shipping. Now, the $87 gets you the collectors with the metal coins, the wax seals, the expansion, the mini expansion that comes with it, and then also the additional collector stretch goals. And sometimes I will say flat out that it depends on what's in the stretch goals. However, in the past, I have seen, especially with previous worker placement Euro style games, the collector's edition is the one that by far and away holds its value much, much, much better. So if you're looking at this game right now, there should be absolutely no question. If you're getting it, get the deluxe collector's edition. You will make money probably based on how many stretch goals they hit, because oftentimes these expansion deluxifications, either they don't match expansion wise at retail with the deluxe base game, or you run into they just don't offer the deluxification. And I know my friends who enjoy these type of games really enjoy the deluxifications. So now metal coins, that's a whole nother video. It could fill 10 minutes talking about the plethora of metal coins and the abundancy in crowdfunding campaigns currently, but you're going to get some here. So all in all, if you're looking at this seriously, without a doubt, get the deluxe pledge level, as much as I am not personally always a big fan. in this case, it makes a lot of sense. But it is going to run you over $100 then for one Euro worker placement style game. It's not insignificant. Next up, by Paketo, the fifth game in the Mint series. Now, this one is a little bit different take. It's a social auction game with reportedly very fast setup as a marketing. Mint games are, games the size of fitting in a Mint box. So that is what they're based off of. It is already twice its funding goal of $20,000, which, considering that the game is only $10 and additional games from their previous track record are only additionally $10 more each, that's a pretty significant amount of dollars for $10 a pop. If you're not familiar with Mint Tin games, this is what it basically is. Like I said, it's in the size of a Mint Tin. The whole purpose is you can take it with you. It's quick to set up. It's quick to play. It's portable. So what are you doing in this game? It's an auction game. It's relatively straightforward. The page gives you a relatively straight overview. Your setup, you're bidding on cards. You're going to have abilities in order to bid on the cards themselves. And you're just playing for the most victory points. They've already unlocked a couple stretch goals, and they're also adding a 2-player variant as well as a couple more AIs that you can play against, especially if you are going to be playing at lower player counts. The other nice thing about this campaign is because it's such a small game in and of itself, they have production being complete and delivered by the end of June, which is great turnaround, all things considered. So if you like small, very quick, easy to play games that are portable, this is definitely a series you should check out. The last one that really caught my eye that launched this week was Masters of Mutanite. Spatial deck building is how they describe it. Now, what does that mean? If you just look at the picture, it seems a la very King of Tokyo-esque. And you're using standees very much like King of Tokyo. You have special powers just like King of Tokyo. But the difference is those deck building and spatial aspects, because you're going to be going around the map, picking up powers, building your deck that way, and customizing and comboing them in series in order to make your mutant attack and knock out the other heroes or mutants so that you're the last one standing. I'm a little surprised this one didn't fund. At the same time, there was one thing that just sort of caught my eye when I was skimming the page earlier. It says 2 to 4 players, and that's great. I mean, it reminds me very much of King of Tokyo again, but the 4-player is a 2-on-2. Many types of games I do not feel lend themselves well to a team game, especially a team PvP game. And that would be my one concern. I heard a little bit of hype about it beforehand, but like I said, it seems to be relatively complete in what it is, and it knows what it is. So I'm also a little surprised that it hasn't funded. Do I think it'll fund? I think it very well may fund, but I think the question is going to be, as they have listed down here with some stretch goals, how many of these stretch goals are they going to fill, or are they going to become add-ons or reveals as motivation to get it to fund in the first place? It's not a bad price. It's $45, and you're getting a lot of stuff for it, considering all of the power cards and the trait cards that you're going to be using, as well as all of the standees. The other thing I mentioned is that the uniqueness of this is you are going to be using objects and the elements that are within the game. Fire, water, electricity, power poles, things like that in combination with your powers and traits. So it does add that other element to sort of set it apart from King of Tokyo in another way. Again, as you scroll down, you see all the positive comments and the videos. I mean, there's tons of them. It's not for lack of an information why this game is not funded yet. But I mean, I feel like, again, I'll comment just briefly on this. A lot of these quotes are very generic. And I don't know how I feel about these quotes anymore, because I'm just not sure where these quotes lead to. Just a general description of the game. So, I mean, everyone seems to enjoy it, which I would hope so if you're putting a quote on there that they enjoyed it. So, will it fund? Will it go again? I don't know. This is one I could also see them saying, even if we're going to fund, let's cancel it. Let's get some more hype. Let's come back in end of February, early March, and see if we can do better. I like the fact, though, that because of all the standees, that they really have a projection of being able to get it to you by the end of 2021. So, check it out if it's your thing. Circling back around to the beginning of the video, again, another, I don't know if it was supposed to be a secret or if it was leaked, on Facebook, on one of the big board game groups, there was an announcement of a giveaway for Primal the Awakening, and it has the Kickstarter date as January 19. So I'm not sure if that was supposed to be out there or how accurate it is, but right now I'm going with it, and I'm super excited. This is one of the games I am most excited for in all of 2021 because of the unique action and the combat system and the tactical nature of it, and the sense that they are also going to be doing sort of a circular combat zone and throwing the grid completely out the window. The miniatures look amazing. There's several unboxings out there from Quackalope as well as King of Average, and apparently One Stop Co-op Shop is going to be having a gameplay video or some sort of gameplay video on the day it launches. It's by Reggie Games, and it just looks absolutely fantastic. Monster Hunter the board game without the IP is sort of how I would best describe it. If that interests you, there is a Kickstarter preview page where you can click to be signed up to get an email notification when it launches. You can see, as on this page already, there are nearly 5,000 people already in that boat. So it's going to be a big project. It's just going to depend on what content and what the price is to see how big. Other games coming on Kickstarter at some time, potentially this month. On Mars, the cooperative expansion for On Mars, the worker placement, the very heavy game from Vital Lacerda and Eagle Griffin Games, was supposed to, versus previous announcements in the middle of last year, be in a January sort of crowdfunding campaign state. But there has not been any more news recently, so there is no knowledge about when this is going to launch it at this point. As soon as I know something, I'll let you know. Other two games that are launching next week is a English version of Pingyao, the First Chinese Banks, which again is a dice as worker placement game. So again, a heavier Euro style game, but using dice instead of workers. You are merchants in the city of Pingyao, and you are trying to build up commerce in the city. And again, just like with Primal the Awakening, just like with the animation collection from CMON, there is a page already, 400 people following it. And if, again, a heavy Euro worker with dice interests you, check this out. Also launching on the same day, Cthulhu, The Call of Madness. Now, this is a different take on the Cthulhu brand, because instead of fighting Cthulhu, you are the cult members. Now, this one is very different mechanically because it is 2 to 4 players. It is more of a tower defense, take that engine building, hand management style game where, again, like I mentioned, you are the cultists trying to summon the Ancient Ones. However, you are competitively trying to summon your Ancient One before other people, but also not letting the other investigators, the good guys in the game in that sense, which we are used to being, stop you as well. And so the first one to do so wins. So a totally different take on what we're used to seeing with Cthulhu. Are all of these mechanisms going to line up? Who knows? But if it sounds interesting to you, check it out when it launches. Okay, so that's it for your quick Kickstarter crowdfunding campaign roundup of the week. Now, this week's obviously was a little bit light, and I think the next couple weeks are just going to slowly build and build and build until we blow up towards the end of January, middle of February, because I think we're going to see a lot more campaigns, and even some that we don't know about get announced, but also actually announce when they're launching. And I think the end of January, February, even into early March are going to be very big in terms of funds, so ready your wallets. Just has a warning shot right now, I'll tell you. So if there's anything else I'm missing, if there's other games that are going to be launching in the next couple weeks, let me know in the comments below. If there are any other creators out there of games that want me to talk about them, I'd love to just, talk about games on the channel. So if you have anything, let me know. I'd love to include you next time. Otherwise, like I said, it's been a relatively slow week. So thankfully, this video is a little bit shorter than others, and you get a few extra minutes on your Friday to do something else. But as always, thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Subscribe. I'm going for 2021 and 2021, so every person is just helping me get a little bit closer to there. I really appreciate it. Thanks. Oh, Grey Ninja says hi, by the way. Stay classy. See you around.